Monday evening, Redline Racing Community League. The Mondays is on for the second race of the season. We have had a great start into our new season last week's Monday on the track of Spain, and today we head into the second race here in Singapore. So we had some technical malfunctions, that's why we needed to restart the lobby, but nevertheless, here we are now. Here we go for our second try, and yeah, nevertheless, it will be a great event once again. Singapore always features really great races in the virtual world. The track, let's have a short look at it. The track is ruled very hard, and that it really is, with 23 turns, and the walls are very close, so the slightest mistake will cost you not just time, but a winglet or end plate, and therefore an additional pit stop and even more of time then. The track features 23 turns and is 5 kilometers of length. It's part of the Formula 1 since 2008 and definitely one of the most difficult tracks of the whole year. The lap record is set by Kevin Magnussen, dates back to 2018, a 1:41.9, but I expect our drivers to beat that by around about 3 or 4 seconds at least. And so we go into the night sky of the Singapore city. This is the Marina Bay Street Circuit. We just had an 18-man grid in our first try to start the lobby. I hope that we will still be 18 and not forget about anyone. There's sadly not a full grid here tonight. Our usual host, Stingy, sadly couldn't make it, likewise to Jonathan Cox, who sadly could not make it for tonight. But well, that can happen, and 18-man grid is still rather a good one. So here we are in the night sky of Singapore with 18 men, just like we had a few minutes before. It's a good thing that everyone made it over to the new lobby, and yeah, it's one of the specialties of Monday night in the Redline community is the fact that every driver gets a point granted. Every driver that finishes the race, of course. That means even if you just finish in, I don't know, let's say P12, you get still a full hand of points, but you have to participate and finish, of course, and therefore, of course, it's a bad thing to not make it, like, for example, Stingy, like Johnny Cox, like Smithy, like Sonopod. That's just names from our regular drivers who sadly couldn't make it for tonight. And yeah, especially Johnny Cox, who had a rather good start to his season in Spain. I expected to be maybe at least in the potential conversation of a championship run, and not being here is yeah, not backing up his chances that way. And shortly before the season opener last week, I talked to Fatih, the reigning champion, and he told me that one of the reasons why he won the last season was that he participated in every race. He was there in every event, and even if it was just a small amount of points, but he acquired them, and that made him push ahead in the very end. So this is the first hot lap here from Williams Leroy. Let's get in a bit more information, like the lap data here and the tires that are used right now. The top 10 have to start on the set they qualify on, so maybe there will be someone who tries to start the race on yellow. And then what does Leroy here do? How does he get out of this? Not at all, not at all. Optics crashed into him and now he needs a new nose. So he has picked up a grid penalty. Well, a spin out of the turn, that can happen, but everything in the aftermath of that, yeah, really made it even worse. So here's Optics, the McLaren, who crashed into him. He probably lost some downforce too on his front wing, so he will just hurry through this outlap, get back to his pits and acquire a new nose. Meanwhile, you can really see how close the barriers are here, so as I mentioned, the slightest mistake will bring you into the wall. Oh, and Turamba is grey, so that might mean he already kissed the first barrier somewhere. So maybe we already have our last man in the grid. Charlie in Japan, meanwhile, has posted the first hot lap, a 1:37.5, and that is already 3.5 seconds faster than the real life time. That's not bad. Maybe that's already a first pretty good lap time. Maybe that will already bring him somewhere in the front rows, and the Greek Charlie Leclerc fan has beat him. The first lap times now coming in, but Charlie in Japan is still in second. But the Greek Leclerc, that was really good, a 1:35.7 on mediums, that would give him a big advantage on the race strategy in case it should stay dry. That's the big question mark. But now, as I depicted the gap to the leader, see how monstrously good this lap time really is. So he used the rather slower tire and still was faster than anyone until now. Fatih with the new fastest lap, a 1:34.4. We still have not that many laps being posted, not too many lap times. Bills has moved into second. Uh-oh, and the Greek Sepp is out. The next one. who had some intense problems somewhere. While we watch the extremist in his outlap. There he starts his flyer. First try for the extremist. Meanwhile, the Elite 44, not to change up with LH 44, has posted a second competitive time on mediums, I would like to call it. So the Greek Leclerc and Elite 44 on mediums, somewhere in the middle of the table here. Let's see if they will have to run again on softs later, or if they will accept it. Extremist here in the middle sector, no comparison on his time yet possible as he didn't post one yet. Ooh, and Walker has set a front row time just barely behind Fatih, half a tenth behind him. So our winner from the season opener is now in P2. The third man from Spain is in P1, so we have our top drivers already on the front row here early. Extremist was sliding a bit in the last sector. Let's see if his lap time will be a good one or not. Where does the clock stop for him? 6th position, 137.2. That means he is slower than those guys on mediums. We always see some glimpse of yellow in some sectors, but that we easily can ignore because sometimes that's just a driver that is slow and makes place on the racing line like here, and this is a yellow, so that we easily can ignore, of course. Oh yeah, one more name that sadly couldn't make it tonight was last week's second placed Stinson. That's really sad, I mentioned it. You need to participate, you need to acquire points. If you're not there just once, that could cost you the championship late in the year. So, in the last race, we might have to talk about that. We might see us again and talk about stints and missing in Singapore. Wherever you are, why ever you couldn't make it, I hope you will be with us here on the live stream and watch your mates racing. So there was a hot lap posted by Hamilton, pushed himself in P5 between the medium runners. Who else hasn't set a time yet? Maybe Big Maca. Oh, there was someone standing awkwardly on the track. Deroy it was, who spun out of, what is it, turn 5? Turn 5 it was, I think it was right him, who did it already earlier. His hot lap time with plus 5.3 seconds, not a good one too. So if we have a look in the history books of Formula 1, if any one of you guys still know the 107% rule, he might be one of them who dropped out of the 107%. Depending how the pole time will evolve and if he is able to post another hot lap before the time runs out. So Ned Craig is ruled to be on an hot lap. He did not post a time before. It's still timeless on P17. Let's see if he does here. The quali takes a little breather here at this time, mostly before everyone tries to run again before the time runs out. So everyone who's running now, like Ned Craig, like Benny Boy, like maybe Charlie in Japan, they might not have another run, so they have to get it done right now. And Bills is out. He either crashed his car or he decided to step out of his car virtually and accept his position. Ned Craig finishes his lap on the 12th fastest time. That's not too. I would rather think that he can improve. He is better than that. And he needs to hurry back to his pits to get some new tires and show us that he can be better. And the front two, Fatih and Walker, what are they doing? They are not ruled to be in the pits. Walker is coming in again here. And Fatih will probably do so too, and they will just barely get it done to go out again, but it can be barely, and if you can make it at all, so not a problem yet. He has still, I would like to say, a minute, maybe slightly more than a minute of time to get new tires mounted. Let's see what Fatih will do. He has posted the pole time on mediums. Let's see if he will gamble and not even go out again. If he thinks, okay, my lap time is good enough, maybe I will drop back 1, 2, maybe 3 positions, but then still I will be able to start on mediums. He is not the only one. He and Leclerc are the only drivers that are still ruled on mediums. Oh, Fatih has now mounted softs. Let's see if he will really go out on the track again while we jump to the extremist, who just starts his second hot lap try. Let's stay with him for the moment. He and Optics. Oh, it's Extremist who is slightly in front of his teammate. Those two guys, the McLaren on 7 and 9. Let's see if they can have a chance to improve themselves. Extremist starts with minus 3/10, and Optics is already finished. Optics has aborted his hot lap, so at the moment we can focus on Extremist, who is here running in the intermediate sector at the place where the Singapore swing was situated earlier, over the bridge into the second DRS zone. Not a long one in the race, just long enough to zoom into the ahead a bit. He improves himself by 6. That would mean he would jump to somewhere where Optics is, maybe the Elite 44. If he can still find a few tenths here in the last sector. Through the tunnel he already is, now one left-hander left, and this is P7 at the moment. pushed ahead of his teammate, but not the front 3 rows. Ned Craig has decided that this is it for him tonight, at least in the qualifying. Let's have a look. What is Walker doing? Walker has crashed. We have just jumped to him when he pushed a little bit too much. So Walker is maximally in P2. And let's see what Fatih is doing now. He has mounted softs, but if he doesn't improve his time, he will start on mediums. P2, P3 are all out already. Extremist is out already. What does Leclerc do? The only one who is still on mediums. He is trying to improve himself on the sets of medium he used already before. He does not improve himself. What does Hamilton do? Let's have one eye on him. Where is Elite? Elite is not improving himself. So Hamilton is probably maybe the only one left who could attack Fatih, but he doesn't. He is improving himself, but not enough. Not enough. He would need to find 1.5 seconds, and that will not be enough. Elite is already out. He finished his hot lap try. What does Fatih do? Fatih is improving himself by 0.5 second, but he doesn't even need to. So in case he has found out about the information about the others, oh no, he has invalidated his hot lap. Corner cutting somewhere. He will not post a better lap time, and that will mean Fatih is in the pole position and can / must start on mediums. And this is a cool slide to end his hot lap. Congratulations to pole position and this unique and cool way of celebrating it. And we have still not seen lap time from Big Maka. He is back into the pits. Turamba, the Greek Sepp, and Krovi did not set times. Krovi is finished too likewise, so no times from them. And that actually is it for our qualifying. Until the CPU will finish the session, we will stay with our pole setter Fatih, who's running on his in-lap back to the pits. Yeah, congratulations on that. And then let's see how this will impact the race strategy for him. So here's the final result. Fatih in the pole, then Walker, the Greek Leclerc, Hamilton, Bills, Elite in 6, Extremist 7, Optics 8, 9 for Tirash, 10 Charlie in Japan, 11 Benny Boy, 12 Deroy, 13 Super Steve, 14 Ned Craig, 15 Big Maka, 16 Turamba, 17 the Greek Sepp, and in 18 Krovi, and the last 4 guys were unable to post a lap time. Oh, and here are the first raindrops. I see intermediates in the Mercedes garage of Hamilton. So this will shuffle all the plans for race strategy. The drivers have half a minute left to check their setups, and I will step aside for a bit. So here we are into our installation lab. Me, from my commentator's perspective, I am always very happy to have an installation lab because it gives me a minute or two of time to get all the information in that we will need. First, we always have a look at the tires, but that is rather easily said and done here today. Everyone starts on inters. Then for the race start, I always have a look at the position change, where we see Fatih, who's really rushing through his installation lab. We see the tire strategy presented by the Amazon Web Services. There is actually, for the moment, for the start, not that kind of a big strategy. It's actually just staying out on inters and having a look if or when the track might dry up, and then as soon as the track gets drier, gets hopefully drier, then we will have to consider who will run the rest of the race on which tire. Singapore is always a track with a lot of action, a lot of safety car chances, and the rain backs off that even more. So yeah, we will see how everything will evolve while Fatih has crashed in his installation lab. Hoo, that reminds me of Max Verstappen in Hungary. But there is no damage on installation lab. Obviously his front wing is still intact, so no issue for him there. He is hurrying, rushing through his installation lab. If you have a look at the minimap, you see even a few drivers still in sector 2 when he is already there in the starting grid. So yeah, in real life that would be a big problem. In real life that would mean he has to stand still very long and the engine would heat. But in virtual worlds, luckily we do not have to worry about that. So meanwhile, hello, a friend from another racing league, Andrew Mont, nice to have you with us. And the installation lab is finished. Yeah, maybe there is a technical issue we've seen a lot of times in the last few weeks in online worlds, when for some reason the CPU does not end the installation lab. I have seen one racing league who just skips the installation lab because of that. To avoid these issues, for the moment we see the raindrops falling and pouring off the rear view mirrors of the pole setter Fatih, who has set his medium pole time, yeah, actually for nothing on mediums. So we have a bit of time to do the grid.